Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Operation Motorsport here for the season finale at the Virginia International Raceway. I'm your host, Matthew Duffin, bringing you all the action tonight, along with my producer in the background, Jonathan Grabowski, who will be bringing you all the fantastic live action and the replays that he's been so good at all season long. But it is that season finale, and we are at this fantastic circuit. 5.2 kilometres or 3.2 miles in this layout since 2014 to today, in what has 18 corners, a lot more than 18 because some are A's and B's I'm looking at on the track map here. It's going to be a fantastic night's worth of action. They've just started the qualifying session. There is 7 in the pro category, 10 in the open, 9 in the Ben, and Tyler Gilmet is in the pro Ben for us this week, as you can all see there, leaving the pit lane in this qualifying session, flooding out the pits to get a lap time on the board here. With it being such a long track, you'd be expecting quite a substantial lap time. Only 1 minute 40s, 1 minute 44s to 46 as we've been seeing in the practice session. So not too slow a circuit as we see there a car, one of the Lamborghinis there going off on the outlap coming through into turn 1. It is a very tight, twisty, technical circuit in places. This is going to catch a few drivers out. Ken Copeland, though, been the man of the season, really, in that pro class since week 2. Here is Martin Weiss racing in that Porsche in the pro category. Going to be an interesting one to see what he can do tonight as well. But Ken Copeland been absolutely fantastic. Chris Walsh will be hoping to have another good week, as will Rodney Campbell and Schwenkler, trying to end on a high as well. If you look at the open category, Tyler Manning will be looking to make it another race win. But he's got tough opposition in that category, and yet another livery for Tyler Manning to end this season on. And he's had some great liveries on the car. Beneficiary category, well, it was open, wasn't it, last week? Louis Rios, I believe, took the win, but you're looking. If I know that there's no Acura, I forgot he's not here, is he? Tanner Masters not here. So it is an open category, really. Louis Rios probably the man you're going to be looking at to see what he can do, and then obviously we've got Tyler Gilmet in that Pro Ben category on his own. Here is Rob Schwenkler, the one of 2 Acuras tonight. Brandon Mateo running in the other one, so it's the last time we get to see the NSX running this season. Will it be back in the future? That's going to be the biggest question as lap times start to come in. Martin Wallace with a 1 minute 50 already on to the board, but I suggest that these are sort of outlaps from these drivers we're going to see much quicker at the moment. So there's nothing really to look into on these lap times at the moment. 1 minute 50 from Bob Wallace is the fastest overall. But again, these are drivers just getting tyres and brakes all up to pressure, temperature, and making sure that they come to start their first flying lap with an absolute bang. So it's going to be an interesting one to see what these guys can do around such a twisty circuit. And I'm just looking at a track map here. It is so different. This track varies in what it is. You've got turn 7 through to turn 10. You've got 8A and 8B in the middle of that, which is almost, I can describe it as like Maggotts and Beckett's of Silverstone, but a bit longer. You've got turn 1, the horseshoe. It looks an interesting corner down into 2, 3 and 4. Kind of gives me a Brands Hatch feel. You come up in towards Druids, down to Graham Hill Bend, and then you've got the turn 4A, which would bring you onto Surtees, except then it makes a quick right-hander. And then you've got even the back straight. Such a long straight out of 12 into 13. A lovely part of the track to really get a run and make some time up coming down. So we will keep our eyes on the lap times and wait and see who will be able to do what in terms of putting a fast lap on the board. That's going to be an absolute key bit of interest here. As Tyler, as I believe, sorry, it is Ken Copeland. No, he's gone with a 52.5. So he's always Tyler Manning. Sorry, apologies, looking in the wrong category there. Tyler Manning with a 46.3. Nolan Uke has now gone fastest overall in the Ben category with a 46.2. So now the lap time starting to come in. Dustin Wells with a 46.7. Rui Farina with a 48.3. Now Chris Walsh comes in with a 45.3. So the pro guys starting to get good lap times onto the board, and it is Walsh who has set that first benchmark in this category so far today. Obviously drivers will still be completing their lap times and will be coming in to increase their pace as we go through. This is Chris Walsh. We drop now down to Peter McDade, who's just gone second place in the Ben category. Rob Schwenkler goes up into second in pro and second overall at the moment. Here he is in his Acura. Gene Kelly moving up into second place in that pro category and overall. It's only the pros at the minute. They're dropping into that 1 minute 45 second time so far. Looks like the open category seems to be in the 46s to 48s. The Ben category 46s into the 49s. And Tyler Gilmet, I don't believe has got a full lap time on the board. Here is Tyler Gilmet coming towards the end of his lap. And he's on that 151. I don't think that's representative at the moment. I'm expecting Tyler to improve as he comes towards the line now. This should drop him into the 40. Surely, yep, a 145.6 for Tyler Gilmet there. As Chris Walsh, still the fastest man out on track. He's coming back around to the end of the circuit now. Is he going to improve on his lap time? Ken Copeland, you see there, purple, green, purple, yellow. And he is on a hot lap at the moment. In fact, he's gone P1 overall. As Chris Walsh did improve to a 44.8, but Ken Copeland, the man on a mission, and sets his first actual flying lap, really, the 144.739. So a heck of a lap time there from Ken Copeland, who has just been a joy to watch all season. But he's seeing the categories and the fastest lap times. Tyler Manning leads that open category. Nolan Uke in the Ben, and obviously Tyler Gilmet on his own. But Ken Copeland has been the man to beat, and he's played some great strategies at times as well. It's been a joy to watch this man at work this season. We'll get to see what he can do for one more time in this championship. As they head into that middle stage of qualifying, obviously we can go to and read through our sponsors once again, as we say, for Season 10 of the Operation Motorsport eMotorsport iRacing League. We're beyond excited to kick off another incredible year of racing, and this season we've got something very special. New for 2025, we are proud to announce that Operation Motorsport beneficiaries racing in the Pro Beneficiary and the Beneficiary category now have access to virtual coaching using Trophy.ai services. This partnership is designed to help these incredible competitors refine their skills and become even more competitive on the track, all while boosting their confidence off of it. This initiative supports eMotorsport diversionary therapy program, which creates a thriving, supportive community for medically released service members, medically retired service members, and veterans with a service-connected disability, as recognised by the US Department of Veteran Affairs or Veteran Affairs Canada. It's a space where participants ranging from active duty to veterans can come together, train and race in an inclusive virtual environment. This season, we have 15 Operation Motorsport beneficiaries competing, and we couldn't be prouder to have them on the grid. Let's show them some love as they continue to break barriers and redefine what's possible in the world of eMotorsport. Thank you for your continued support from our partners, CrowdStrike, Michelin, and of course, Trophy.ai, who are our fantastic sponsors in this series and have provided, obviously, everything they've needed throughout this fantastic championship. And we are just getting towards the back end of qualifying now, into that last minute and a half. So drivers who are just starting a lap will only have one more to go. Drivers in the pits will not get around, and that is Chris Walsh, Gene Kelly, Jason Taylor, Rodney Campbell, all in pit lane. So it's only Martin Wallace and Robert Schwenkler who's a little off the pace at the moment, and Ken Copeland still out there on the track. The others all in the pits. Charles Boschel, who you remember joined on commentary earlier in the season. He's the only driver in open category in the pit lane as Martin Wallace moves up to P4. Peter McDade, John Salader, Philip Chartier and Cody Durking all in the pit lane in the Ben category, and still going out there as well as Tyler Gilmet. So not a lot of cars out there completing the whole of qualifying. They've either missed the end of it by a little bit, or they've just not had enough fuel to do one more full run. As Little moves up into P3 in the open category there, so a decent lap time from him. As Ken Copeland, quickest in the first sector, and then didn't really improve. Dan Fendick is he's had a personal best lap, and just looking at where that's going to put him, still P9, waiting for that. So he's had an off track, so that may have invalidated his lap. Louis Rios, in fact there is Dan Fendick. Louis Rios has had a good lap. Hopefully that'll get on the board. If not, he had time, I believe, to start one more. Billy All currently P8. He stays there with his personal best. There's a few cars just at the back end of the circuit. That is Louis Rios who is off, so he's had a big off somewhere. That car looked very badly damaged. Saw a few sparks flying just a moment ago as that car was rejoining the track. This is what happened then. Now that already looks like it's got the damage, so he's had a moment before this, and yeah, clearly carrying the damage, and just loses that rear ever so slightly. So not sure what happened to Louis Rios then, but no lap time on the board for him. That'll be the end of his qualifying session. Tyler Gilmet was absolutely flying there. He's had a couple of purple sectors as Tyler Manning is about to improve on a lap time, is he, as he comes through down the hill. Currently the fastest in that open category. And what can he do if he is to improve? Can he take the final race win of the season as well? That's going to be a key part for him. Here's John Hicks in the red Lamborghini. Currently fourth place in that beneficiary category. So this will be a good night for him. Here is Kyle Shelton, P5 in open. He's done. He's going to park up and return to the pit lane. And I believe that is everybody done in qualifying then. So while we get that grid order set for you, then we'll bring it to you in just a moment. But it is once again another pole position for that of Ken Copeland. And it has been fantastic to see him really do what he's done all season. And that has been super, super quick and really active out there on the racetrack. He's been absolutely fantastic all season. Will he obviously do that saving fuel that he's done all sort of season, really? Will he look to use that same strategy, or will he just try and go from the front and see what his pace is overall from the front of the pack? Just awaiting for that grid order for you. We'll bring it up momentarily when we have it. And we'll be able to get underway for the final time. Is Jason Taylor in the chat saying thanks for the broadcast. You're more than welcome, Jason Taylor. Fury's granddad, aka good friend of mine, Tony Bates, managed to stay awake back. Well, I'm glad you've stayed awake, Tony. 1:15 in the United Kingdom. Great to see you in the chat, though, dude. Thank you always for the support to Fury's granddad. Always, I have to give him a big shout out. He's a good personal friend of mine. And no matter where I'm commentating, you'll always find him in the chat. He is a great supporter of mine. And Tony, do appreciate it. Thank you very much for tuning in to the show, as everybody else who is here. The grid order now then. Ken Copeland, pole position for the final time this season with Chris Walsh alongside him. Tyler Manning, P3. Great qualifying from him in that open category. P3 overall, fantastic. Tyler Gilmet, P4 overall, obviously the only Pro Ben driver today. Gene Kelly, P5 with Martin Wallace 6th. Jason Taylor 7th and Robert Schwenkler, P8. P9 for Dustin Wells with Tyler Reid in 10th. Nolan Nuke will take pole in that beneficiary category from Jacob Little. Kyle Shelton, Brandon Matteo, Peter McDade and Rui Farina. P17 for Chandler Baker with 18th of Billy Ull. John Hicks from 19th. Richard Davenport, P20. Dan Fendick from John Salada. Then it is Charles Boschel and Philip Chartier rounding out top 24. And Rodney Campbell down in 25th. Didn't set a lap time. Neither did Louis Rios or Cody Durkin. They will go from the pit lane to start this formation lap. So let's see what they can do as they prepare to get their tyres warm and brakes up to temperature, ready for the start of this race in what will be, or what I read earlier, and I'll tell you what I read, because we're not going to be bringing you the Ben Spotlight tonight, but it should be a good one because Virginia is a beast. That's what I was told by Tyler Reid in the Discord chat earlier on. So this could be a fantastic night's worth of racing here at this Virginia International Raceway circuit. So they're being led on this formation lap now by the safety car. Excuse me. Still can't shake this cough from a couple of weeks ago. Still got it. Let's see what will happen. So Ken Copeland, that Mercedes on the front. Shout out though to Tyler Manning and to Gil Met there, because second row lockout for them two in the Pro Ben and the open category. That is a fantastic qualifying from both of them to be up there. And the last time we saw Tyler Manning up there, he took the fight to Ken Copeland back at Road America, led for a little bit of the race and led overall as well. So going to be interesting, I think, to keep our eyes on what he can do in this one. This could be a belter. It really could. Could be an instant classic. We just await the lights to come on, as I think I don't even think we've been down the back straight yet. I think we're heading towards it now. I'm brand new to this racetrack, so learning as we go on the track. But it is a long circuit. 1 minute 44 on the fast lap. Never mind the safety car lap. That is just going to take it a little bit longer. Just a little bit. And then we'll see what happens from there. But here we go then. This is the back straight now, so they're coming down to it. And this is where we're going to get to see who can do what. As you see the track map there, there's the back straights, a couple of corners left to go. And it's just before you come up towards the horseshoe. Hairpin corner at the top there. That is turn 1. So that little straight before is the start line. You see the little black line just on that start bit as well. That is where we'll be starting this race. So still a way to go, but the drivers will be making sure that everything is in the correct window. And obviously we'll try and get the chance to speak with the drivers at the end of the night as well. So 45-minute race to commence momentarily as we end this season in what has been a fantastic championship. And we're around the final corner now, and we are about to get this race underway here for the final time this season. Let's see what we can do as we are here at Virginia. Green and go for the final time, and Ken Copeland gets a decent start, but it's already Chris Walsh who's attacking him down into turn one. Tyler Manning just watching on in the background at the moment as they're heading towards the horseshoe. Through they go now, Walsh and Copeland side by side together. A long old corner in which the inside line will be favoured. Manning still trying to stick the nose in there. Gilmet hasn't been able to go with the three leaders at the moment, but Ken Copeland managing to stay in the lead. Manning was a little wide through turn two. That's going to allow Gilmet to have a run, and Chris Walsh gets a run up the inside of Ken Copeland. Gilmet through as well. So a change in the top four between two of the drivers already. And this is fantastic through the Maggots-Beckett's-esque section now as they all flick down onto this little straight they come under the Michelin Bridge. Once for the first time around on this 45-minute race. Remember, pit stops will have to be made, and it's going to be an interesting day then as Chris Walsh now takes the lead in this one. And that back straightaway, Brendan, is a very long one. It is a 5.4 kilometre circuit, I believe I've got that right, 5.2 kilometre circuit. And here we go then, down the back straight, Mercedes versus McLaren out front. Can that Mercedes use it? Grunt them. Watch the Ford Mustang of Gilmet in the background, a bit of weaving and left to right down the straight there. I'm sure Ken Copeland's not going to be a fan of that one, and look at how much that Mercedes AMG caught onto the back. Here's the Acura. Look at its power in a straight line. Oh no, that's it under braking as the corner comes up pretty quickly. I thought the Acura had a bit of straight line power there, but that was too much wishful thinking. As Schwenkler got to do the work in the corners tonight. He's on the back of Wallace with Taylor right behind him in that Ford Mustang. But what an opening lap from Chris Walsh. Kept it nice and neat, and he's managed to lead as they come over the line. This is down the order. Back to the front though, Chris Walsh. He's under pressure from Copeland, but we know Copeland. He's a wily old fox, and he'll be saving that fuel while he's sat right behind him. He won't be too worried. It's not about how you start in this race. It is about how you finish. And Ken Copeland will not mind following Chris Walsh at all. He could just save that little bit more fuel. As you see there, Manning took a bit of a tighter line on exit, didn't use that runoff as much. Behind that, a Gilmet currently running third and fourth on the road. Ooh, little slide there for Tyler Manning. Look at this section. Could be beautiful. Up the curve, bounce the curve, pretty much straight line. And you don't even turn through that section. Beautiful little section of corners. Left, jinx it right, up and over the crest of the hill. Be careful to not let the car just lift up too much as you come over. Down the order with McDade. And he has got the Ford Mustang in the open class just ahead of him at the moment. Nice yellow on that Ferrari. In the 296. Chasing down that Ford Mustang. Now towards the back straight. This is where the Mustang may have the advantage today. The straight line speed of it should be a beast, and I'm looking at our time between Ken Copeland. That time is tumbling down towards Walsh, and it now just goes back up a little bit. Say a little bit, it's gone back up a tenth and a half, so that is all under the brake in there. I think Copeland is happy to sit in that slipstream and just maybe save that little bit more fuel as he does so. So this is where Ken Copeland has been a cut above the rest all season. The strategy, the thinking behind it has been fantastic. Great little scrap here though. We've got Gene Kelly, Martin Wallace, Robert Schwenkler, and that of Jason Taylor, all within a couple of tenths of each other as they cross the line to start the third lap of this race. And Schwenkler just having a look to the inside of Wallace. Wallace now having a look to the inside of Gene Kelly. Nothing can be done about that one. Nolan Uke, good gap out front in the beneficiary category. That is over 3 seconds. Tyler Manning as well, 4.6 seconds ahead of Wells. This is a great scrap between these four. And the bonus I like about this Virginia circuit, this will favour all of these three different cars. The Porsche, the Acura, and that of the Ford Mustang. Look at this gaggle of cars just behind here. This is Dustin Wells with Tyler Reid, Nolan Uke, Jacob Little, and Brandon Mateo in this one. You're seeing that of Nolan Uke, the BMW there. Great car, the M4. Lovely piece of machinery as they come through towards the bottom part of the circuit to get onto that back straight. Such a great track. It's been fantastic qualifying. At the minute, little in the way of overtakes, but I think we saw last week, it was the calm before the storm, and it was a lot of drivers last week making their own mistakes down this back straight. It's about getting the run out the top end to get, crucially, in that slipstream and have a launch down here. And look at Nolan New, because we're seeing the two Porsches with the Acura just behind. This is Gene Kelly, Martin Wallace, Robert Schwenkler, and that of Jason Taylor. Two good groups of cars here having a fight, and they're fighting hard and hard, as we can see just popping around that corner. There's Tyler Manning and Gilmet just popping over the brow of the hill. Schwenkler's got a run. You can see in the little windscreen there, the little TV monitor on board, Schwenkler got a run to the outside line. Over the start line they go to start lap 4. Schwenkler at the horseshoe, will be on the outside, will probably look for the undercut and the up and under, but he can't do so. Or has he? He may have here. Has that of Bob Wallace just got enough of momentum out of the horseshoe to do so? Yes, he has. He stays ahead. This allowing Gene Kelly to just pull away a little bit at the moment. But Robert Schwenkler there had a look, had an opportunity. Battle happening in behind as well. We believe that's Tyler Reid fighting that of Wells. He was having a look through turns 4 and 5. Also, so it's a great little fight. Nolan Nuke, the BMW, leader of the Ben category in behind at the moment. It's just going to be interesting to see what all these drivers can do around here. So far in the first 6 minutes, we don't have a replay to show you, which means there's not been too many dramas as of yet. Well, there may be a drama here, though, because that Mercedes AMG of Ken Copeland is as close as he's been since being overtaken. Now comes down the back straight. Look at that Mercedes pretty much pushing the McLaren down the straight. Pulls to the left-hand side now. Backs out of it. Brakes a little earlier. Lets Ken keep hold of that one. Little early brake in there. Maybe a lift and coast from Copeland. All about the fuel saving for then full attack mode and in the second half of this race. And the problem is for Walsh, he can't really save fuel because he's got to keep that pressure on. Dropped a wheel on the grass there, did Walsh. That'll compromise a bit of a run. Down over the start line here. So far, so good. It's been a great start to this race, and what an opener to the night we have had. Reid on Wells looks an interesting one. That's within 0.2 of a second at the moment, and Reid has got past Wells then in the open category. So that one has been done. Wells still trying to maybe look up the inside. They've got Nolan Nuke, Matteo, and with them as well. We'll get the replay of this one, and we'll be able to show you. Oh no! Oh, he's had a moment. I think he went around. So this is how the lead was changed. We'll show you what happened there in a moment. Jonathan's just telling me he did go round. So this is Tyler Reid going to the outside in towards turn 1, and this is how he gets the move done. Just carries the momentum round. Beautifully done. And then it all goes horribly wrong in towards turn 2 then, as he gets the momentum down, comes through, job's done, and he just runs a little deep, tyre on the grass, round goes the car, and all the hard work undone. And that is a shame for Tyler Reid. He's dropped down to P6 in category. He's got a lot of work to do. Ken Copeland side by side with Walsh now as they come up and over the brow of the hill, down the back straight. Who's got the better straight line speed? It looks like Walsh just has a little bit more than Copeland as they hit hard onto the brakes. Still side by side. And Walsh not yet come out on top as Copeland now has the inside for the left-hand bend. Now downhill, Copeland will have the inside for the next left-hander, then the outside for the right-hander as Walsh comes over the curbs and really had to mount them there. Still together. 4 or 5 corners side by side, nearly door-to-door banging, and it is still Walsh and Copeland who are going really at it. Hammer and tong between the two of them over the start line to start lap 6. Great bit of racing, a bit of touching there as well, door-to-door from Copeland and Walsh, and a bit more maybe just on the entry into turn 1, but Walsh back out in front. Wallace has got ahead of Gene Kelly. Campbell is in the pit lane in this race, and Walsh manages to come back out on top. Gene Kelly's been overtaken by Wallace though, with Schwenkler and Taylor still in that fight also. But my oh my, what a battle that was between Walsh and Copeland. This is what happened to Campbell in the blue BMW here. Side by side. Whoa, BMW. Oh, they both just kind of... Oh, that's a big hit. Whoa, that's a big hit. And what they've both done there, they've both hit a curb and mounted a curb and bounced into each other a couple of times. And that is all she wrote for Campbell. That is a big bit of damage. And that'll be a huge pit stop in this one. These two out front, by the way, 6 seconds ahead of Wallace. So they really have got a good jump over the rest of their pack. Copeland really tried on that last lap. It was a great bit of racing as well, side by side for 4 or 5 corners. Absolutely fantastic. And that's what you want to see here on the final race of the season. A huge competitive field and a great bit of battling all around. Copeland though now sat in that slipstream, having a look, pulls to that inside line, shows the nose. Oh, maybe thought about it, seeing if Walsh was going to go deep. Walsh was too wise there. Schwenkler's got past Gene Kelly, I'm noting as well. Little's now got past Wells, so Little's now second place in that open category. Mateo's now got past Wells. So Wells just... That's a Hellman's livery. Oh, that's brilliant. Mayonnaise. I'm not sure if that's the same in America. It might be a different spot. It is. I'm being told it is mayonnaise, so it is the same in the States as it is for us in the UK. But Wells are fighting back against Mateo. But Schwenkler and Wallace have got past Gene Kelly within the last lap. Here is Wallace and Schwenkler. Really are pulling away from Kelly. And they've dropped that of Taylor as well. Campbell, I believe, is back out on track. What a day. What a race so far. Here at Virginia, down the back straight. This is where the Porsche should have that little bit more over the Acura. Come down to the bottom end of the circuit, braking hard, the 666 that of the Porsche, as we jump back down to Rui Farina in his Ferrari. Down the bottom end of the order, Hicks is in the pit lane, so I'm not sure why Hicks is in. But he's back out again now, so interesting there. I'm not sure why he was in the pits. We've got a great fight going on everywhere at the moment. This is Schwenkler having a look now on Wallace. You've got Kelly and Taylor just behind, having their own little battle. Little wiggle there for Schwenkler. You've got Wells, Little and Mateo in the open category having a scrap. So really is a great bit of racing out there from everybody so far. And it's all been clean as well, bar them two BMWs just bumping a little bit, as that is the Porsche just taking a little too much curve there, getting onto the back of Little. Mateo, watch on, but this is Wells trying to recover after losing a couple of places. He's trying to bounce back. See what the Porsche can do in this one, then chasing down the Ford Mustang, coming in towards the bottom end of the circuit where they'll have that long straight, and they'll have that opportunity to use the slipstream and try and get past each other. But you'd imagine that Ford Mustang, who's not got the greatest of exits here, and that is going to allow Wells through, and Wells easily gets past Jacob Little. Mistake on the exit of the corner, and now that's allowing Mateo to have a look at Jacob Little as well. He tucks back in behind. That is Nolan Yuke ahead of them. Quite sure who that is behind. Is that Campbell behind who's been in the pit lane? I think it is, yes, in the blue BMW. Matteo there had a good look at Little, and he made the mistake coming onto the back straight where that Mustang should have been strong, and it really hurt his run down the straight there. Look at the Acura in the slipstream now, pulls to the outside line. Little covering the inside. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It's Little who just tries to get it, took the inside of Wells, and Matteo has to wait to get on the power there. You just saw him gain so much he had to get out of it. On the back of Little's Ford Mustang there then. And so far so good from these drivers, and this has been fantastic really to not have the incidents that we've seen. Look at Copeland, still these two going at it. They've pulled another 3 seconds since we last saw them over that of Wallace in third place in the pro category, but these two are still going at it. Chris Walsh and that of Ken Copeland, catching up to some lap traffic as well in front, and these two really are putting on a great display in this race at the moment. Copeland pushing Walsh down the back straight, pulls out now. This could give him the run up the inside into the next part. He backs out of that one. Again, maybe just a little bit of lift and go. Schwenkler looks like he's got a run on Wallace. That time what came down then went up. That'll be wide coming into this complex here. So nicely done. And really great work from everybody. We keep saying it, but we saw last week a lot of drivers made their own mistakes, and a lot of drivers, you know, contact was made, their own mistakes was happening to spin them around. Schwenkler looks to the outside and towards the horseshoe, looking for the up and under. And I think he may have just got it now. How's his run mid-corner? It's not too bad, but it's not good enough to get past Wallace then. Schwenkler's now trying, but it wasn't good enough. Back down with Shelton on the back of one of the Ferraris. This is in the open category. I believe it's that McDade in front, I believe. Not quite sure. That is definitely Matteo in the group in front. I believe it is McDade because Nolan Nuke is in that group. It is indeed McDade then. The problem with big circuits, I find, you just tend to get this little bit where nothing really happens and they just kind of play follow the leader. I think that's the stage we're in at the moment. We'll keep our eyes out. Not really any overtakes happening as of yet. There you can see the position changes for the drivers. Had a little off track. Oh, there we go. Louis Rios, just being told, was off track. He's now rejoined, and we'll see what happened to him. See if there's any damage. Remember, he had that off track in that moment. Oh, it's a bit of a wiggle coming out the horseshoe, and hits the brakes. Turns in okay there. Just runs a little wide on exit. So a strange little one there for Louis Rios, but he carries on his way. P5 at the moment, as here is Shelton round the outside of McDade. Shelton's got Reed watching on in the background. Reed, who obviously had that spin earlier after taking the lead, or after, sorry, getting past Wells, I believe it was, for second place in the open category. There he's off track. I thought he had gone. Yeah, it's Shelton who went off the circuit. Oh, and there's Matteo. Matteo's off. They've just all gone past Brandon Matteo in the Acura. He's made a mistake. He was in a great fight a moment ago. So this is what happened to Brandon Matteo then. Gets on the curb. Absolutely fine so far. Following that of the Mustang. There we've just seen... He's just dropped the rear on his own. How strange. Not really carrying too much speed. And there's Brandon Matteo off the track. And yeah, he's now got work to do to get back up the order. This is back with Martin Wallace and Robert Schwenkler. down into the complex, putting a lap on the Corvette in the Ben category. As they come through to start lap 12. 20 minutes already gone, so we're nearly at half distance. And this is a fantastic race so far. Pit stops will be starting to happen anytime soon, I'd imagine. So keep your eyes out for drivers starting to come into the pit lane. And Schwenker again looking for that up and under. Can't do anything about it there. Can't get the move fully done. Just see that Acura just trying to close up under the braking, but can't again do too much. Ken Copeland then. Is he waiting for that pit window to open? We know he loves to save fuel, and we know he loves to go long on the strategy. And he has been content to sit behind Walsh. He's having a great scrap with Walsh. So this has been the real entertainment of this race so far. These two side by side for 4 or 5 corners was fantastic. Here is Copeland. Getting closer, getting closer. Just running out of road. So, yeah, very interesting to see that McLaren can hold its own in a straight line. A lot of high curbs and then flat curbs around this circuit, and that's going to catch drivers out which ones you can ride, which curbs you can't. One thing we know is they come around start lap 13 of this race that we are approaching half distance, and Ken Copeland now looks for a move up the inside. No, backs out of it. Tucks back in. Schwenkler still on the back of Wallace. Gap's coming down as well. Schwenkler to Wallace. Wallace going to defend that inside line again. Schwenkler's going to try and look for the up and under. Here we go then on the drone footage. Goes a little deep, tries to cut it back underneath, not got enough, tries to power out the corner. Oh, Wallace had a bit of a wiggle mid-corner there, and that's allowed Schwenkler through. And it was all down to Wallace's wiggle mid-corner that allowed Schwenkler to get that momentum and slingshot his way onto the podium in the pro category. Because these two are still behind that of Manning and Gilmet. As Campbell back into the pit lane. So is this the start of the pit stops happening? Don't think it is. We didn't get Cody Durkin starting this race. Rodney Campbell back out on the track. And bar John Hicks and Richard Davenport, he's the only driver to have pitted, and he's pitted twice now. So I think pit stops may be starting to happen. This is Nolan Uke, leader of the Ben category. On the back of Justin Wells, second place in the open class. 15 seconds off the back of Tyler Manning, who has been fantastic. They're about to lap the Corvette, I believe, of Chartier. Nolan Uke gets a good run. Side by side, he could get boxed in though by that Corvette, who is still there out front. That Porsche, no, he's not going to get boxed in because the Porsche tucks in behind. Great run from Nolan Uke down the back straight. And now he puts the lap on the Corvette. And the Corvette stayed well out the way there, did not want any involvement in that. As Chris Walsh enters the pit lane. So noting on the timing screen that Chris Walsh is into the pits. This is now where Ken Copeland could maybe start to put the hammer down. As Walsh gets dropped and released from his pit box. Wells and Reed also into the pits, as is John Hicks. So a lot of drivers now entering the pit lane here. Schwenkler takes hold of P2. Taylor's gained on the back of Wallace after dispatching Kelly. And Kelly's really dropped down here and lost the pace of the three that was fighting him earlier on. There is Taylor in the background, just starting to gain on Taylor a little bit. Although Wallace has gained onto the back of Schwenkler really quickly through that section. Maybe a little too quickly. Drops a wheel into the gravel. That's going to cost him a lot of momentum down this back straight. That Porsche should have a little bit in a straight line over the Acura just to catch it slightly. Especially with that bit of slipstream as well. It's not enough. What he did do though was drop Taylor this lap, so Wallace back on the pace. We know that Copeland is probably going to go long here. Walsh is 22 seconds behind Kelly. That is the crucial thing. There's Wallace into the pits. The problem for Walsh is does he have any traffic around him? Because he'll kind of want a clear track to pump in the fast lap times. As Wallace comes into pit lane and pulls into his box. And he's stationary now. Also Brandon Matteo into the pits. No one else yet in the pit lane. Chris Walsh, fastest lap of the race, by the way. His outlap of a 49.4. That's not a bad outlap there. Martin Wallace is already out the pit lane. Jason Taylor comes in. Jason Taylor was on the back of Martin Wallace, so has anything happened to him there? Ken Copeland has got some traffic in front. He's about to put a lap on that traffic. I think Taylor's... Yeah, I think it's been a moment. This is what has happened then. So you can see that Wallace is already in the pits. Here goes light. Round it goes into the wall. Bang. Yeah, right then. So that explains why Jason Taylor is now into the pit lane. Everybody seems to be losing it. That seems to be the section of the track that is catching drivers out. So Taylor in the pit. Salada is in the pit as well. Ken Copeland will keep going for another lap. He's 14 seconds clear of Schwenkler at the minute. Walsh 19 seconds off the back of Gene Kelly. As Gilmet and Manning, third and fourth on the road at the moment into the pit lane. And also Gene Kelly comes into the pits to make another stop. Nolan Uke, they're all flooding in now. Jacob Little, McDade in. So everybody coming into the pit lane this lap pretty much. And this is going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. Who can do what in the pits? Will we get anybody jumping anybody? This is going to be the biggest question, I think, of the day. There goes Manning. Gilmet already out as well, I believe so. There goes Martin Wallace. Actually, Martin Wallace has just jumped that of Tyler Manning there, because they was behind Manning and Gilmet before the round of pit stops. And now he's now in front. And Schwenkler got ahead of Wallace. So Wallace ahead of Manning there. That'll be for a net P4. Walsh back up into third place. Just looking at these last lap times. The exit curb surprised me, said Jason Taylor in the chat. So that's probably what caught him out as he had the spin. Chris Walsh last time round 45.0. Ken Copeland due to traffic 46.2. So as Copeland comes in, this is crunch time now. So Ken Copeland and Schwenkler into the pit lane. Louis Rios as well. Now where's Walsh? That's going to be the key part here. We can keep our eyes on where Ken Copeland was. We're looking for that number 2 in the blue circle. There he is. Oh, no, he's on the grass. Oh, he's cut the corner a little bit there. And that has hurt the pit entry of Shelton. As Ken Copeland comes out, Walsh will jump ahead of Schwenkler, but will not be in the lead of this race by some 3 and a bit seconds. But that was a very, very risky manoeuvre from Walsh here. He didn't really need to make that. And let's take a look at a replay because it was such a strange manoeuvre coming through in towards the final corner then. And just look at the run he gains. And this is on a lead car who is about to pit. Oh, just nudges him wide, cuts the grass. I think that's a little risky from Chris Walsh here. He didn't need to do that. Regardless of that, that is not what cost him the lead of this race. But it could have cost him an out-and-out podium had that gone horribly, horribly wrong. But Ken Copeland has done what he does best. That is take the lead after the pit stops. 3 seconds he gained in the pits, plus the lap times he put in whilst he was obviously lapping on his own out front. Ken Copeland pulling the strategies once again to absolute perfection here at the Virginia International Raceway. Then great stuff to see. Jason Taylor, by the way, after that pit stop for the damage, was in there for 3 minutes as we're watching Reed go up the inside of one of the open cars of John Solano, P4. John has pitted. I think everybody has now. No, Dan Fendick hasn't pitted yet. He's the only driver yet to pit. Well, just noticing we have got now Cody Durkin out on track, who is only done 3 laps of this race. So he must have been in late. Not sure, obviously problems for him. But that is Fendick in front here of Tyler Reed. So this is for position. Obviously Fendick yet to pit. There's a tyre smoke. There's a car in the wall. That looks like it's one of the Corvettes. It's Boschel who is in the wall. So Charles Boschel there has had a moment and has gone into the wall. Don't see anybody else around, so I'm wondering if that was all on his own. But Charles Boschel there then has had a mistake. I saw the puff of smoke and then there was the car off to the left. Rui Farina close to the back of Shelton. No, that's Boschel there, sorry. So it's not Boschel. It was a different Corvette. It was definitely a Corvette that was on the grass. It looked a gold colour. I think it may be Chartier. I believe it is because that looks the same, similar colour. So here comes Chartier then. Just runs the curb. Rear just goes a little light over the brow of the hill. Oh, nearly did very well to keep that out the wall. Again, strange one. The cars just seem to have the rear just going a little light at times. Maybe a little bit more of a lift required, not carrying as much speed. Now Manning is on the back of Wallace here. This is for P4 overall. In fact, where did Schwenkler come out in all of this? This is a back to the live action. So no, this is for P5 overall. As Schwenkler came out 2 seconds up the road from Wallace. So Gilmet is Gilmet ahead of Schwenkler? Well, that's a car off on the inside. Not sure who that is. No, I don't think so. No, so Gilmet is P3 on the road overall. Schwenkler is P4. And this is for P5 overall with Manning 6th, Wallace P5. There is Schwenkler just up the road. So Manning got jumped by the pair of the pro drivers in the pits then. Obviously no points for finishing ahead of a driver in another category compared to yourself, but always nice to race the different categories and have a good fight and a good battle. Into that final 11.5 minutes. You're seeing the marbles from the tyres just bouncing all over the track. "19 laps completed. Tyler Manning at the moment. Copeland 7 seconds over Walsh now. Huge gap. Manning having a look on Wallace up the inside for this first part of the complex. Now around the outside. Keeps it very wide. Inside for the left-hand bend. He'll have the outside again in a few moments' time for that final corner. But he's got the job done. That's a great manoeuvre from Tyler Manning there. Right around the outside. Manages to get back in front. Tyler Manning as well. Slingshots. A couple of, at least 2 car lengths in front of that of Martin Wallace. And that was fantastic from Tyler Manning. Here's another look at it. Look, right round the outside. He'll have the inside line for the next 2 parts of this circuit. Gets in front just as well. Chops the nose ever so slightly there. That is a great manoeuvre. That is good, hard racing from Tyler Manning, who can now head after that of Schwenkler. And look at the pace he's got in this car. He's already dropped Wallace, so he's got a lot of pace here today. Really showing what he can do in this McLaren. Will he make that step up into the Pro category next season? That's going to be the biggest question. He's just taken the fastest lap of the race, and that is a 1:44.844, so only a tenth quicker than that of Chris Walsh. But Chris Walsh last lap to 3.2 slower in the 48s. Maybe traffic played a part on that one. There he is. All on his own. So, what traffic, I'm not sure. Maybe he's made a mistake somewhere. Jonathan obviously can't see it on his end, otherwise we'd have brought you a replay. So, has to be traffic. Let's take a look. We've got an off track here that Jonathan's just found. So, is this where he loses the 4 seconds? All looks pretty good. Whoa, that's why. Whoa, that's why he's lost 4 seconds there. The spinning Corvette in front of him. Jedi-like reflexes. He flicks it around as he avoids Chartier. And that'll explain the off-track. That'll explain the loss of time on the last lap. He's already pulled the gap back down to 5.2 seconds. So Walsh is charging here. This is on board with Walsh, and we're going to see the spin in front. Look at the Corvette there. Lights up the rear, and whoa, split second to judge which way you're going to go. And he guessed right. And he'll be thankful that he guessed right, because if he'd have gone tighter on the exit, that would have been game over for a podium. Ken Copeland now coming up to a bit of traffic. Chris Walsh now has got that gap under 5 seconds just momentarily. So he's on an absolute charge at the moment. Back down in the 45s. Gained 0.8 of a second over Ken Copeland. Ken was down in the 46s. He's about to hit some heavy traffic. He's done a 47 this time around. And Chris Walsh, 45.6. So he's really making some inroads, is Chris Walsh. This is down with Wells. Good little fight here. He's got Peter McDade in front, Dan Fendick just behind. Dan Fendick is a lap down on these two. So these two must have just put a lap on him. So going to be interesting to see what they can do in terms of their fight with each other. Obviously not fighting for anything else other than just a position overall. Justin Wells on the podium. We'll be pleased with this. Nolan Uke clear out in front, as is Tyler Manning. As is Ken Copeland, but Ken Copeland's gap is coming down. It's now towards the 4 second mark. But he has had traffic to deal with. And still has traffic to deal with, and he's lost a good 0.8 of a second in the last couple of corners here. Was in the game, same camera shot that he saw Walsh at the back of this train. So Walsh has got this traffic to deal with, and that is Reed, I believe, just in front of him in the Ford Mustang. So here is Chris Walsh in the aggressive salmon. You see there, Copeland at the front of this queue. Walsh is now going to clear this bit of traffic, and he's going to want to clear it as quick as he can in the easiest section he can. And I'm telling you now, if I was in this car and I had a flash my lights button, it would be being spammed like crazy right now for these back markers to get out of the way. Jonathan reckons that Copeland may just be saving fuel still, because this gap's down to 2 seconds, and well noticed from Jonathan there, that gap has tumbled down whilst Walsh has been lapping these cars, and Ken's already pulled away from Taylor here. So Taylor sticking with him. Gap back up to 2.5. That's obviously due to Walsh having to lap the cars behind. 1 car left for Walsh to lap. Let's keep our eyes on this gap. It's 2.3 down the back straight. Here's Copeland. It says fuel low on his dashboard there. So is he nearly out of fuel here? I'm sure that definitely said fuel low on the dashboard. Alright, it may always say that, is what Jonathan's told me, so ignore the fact that it may be fuel low. Let's wait and see. But he's definitely not as quick as he was, because look, the gap's down to 1.6. And we were saying the last couple of... he was down in the 48s last lap. Me and Jonathan are scratching our heads as to why Ken Copeland isn't being able to pull away from that of Jason Taylor. A 47.0 loses another 0.8 of a second to Chris Walsh. So something not right here, and Jason Taylor being able to just play a role in this at the moment. 1.2 now is the gap, and I think we've got a couple more laps to go. Taylor out the way. There is a car off on the inside. Taylor did not want to be in the way of Chris Walsh here. There is a fight on for the lead of this race. The gap is now a second in this for the overall race win at the finale here at Virginia International Raceway. And that time looks still coming down by each 10th, each 100th of a second. It just ebbs and flows as they come through the braking zones of this section. Ken Copeland now under a second of his lead. As Walsh just drops a wheel into the gravel. That'll cost him a bit of momentum, look, as that time just starts to open up. And now it comes back down to it. It's as if now that Walsh has got back up to full speed after dropping the wheel in the gravel. Look at it tumble down. That is coming down pretty rapidly as well. Chris Walsh may sniff the opportunity of a win, excuse me. Get back up to a second through the corners. Ken Copeland here. Has he cut it fine with the fuel? 1.1. Or was he just toying with us? Because now he's opened the gap up to 1.2 as they come towards the line once again. The fastest lap times, 45.4 and a 45.2. So was Copeland just toying with us? He was 3 seconds quicker on that pit stop. So being told that from Jonathan that Jonathan's thinking that has Ken Copeland miscalculated the amount of laps? Was he thinking that this will be the white flag lap? There will be one more to go after this. So if he's been fuel saving, get back up to 1.4 though now. So I think that there is either some strategy to this, or he has toyed with us, toyed with Walsh, and toyed with all you viewers at home sat watching this race. He's got to be careful, because if it is strategy and he has misfueled, Well, he's got to make sure that he's got enough for that last lap. 1.5 the gap, so he's really put the hammer down in this last run. Yeah, just creeping down onto that under that 1.5 second mark, and now back up to it. So the white flag should now fly. You see the little steward on the balcony flying the white flag. Here we go. One left. Has Ken Copeland got enough fuel in the tank? Was he just toying with our emotions? Let's see as we enter this final lap of the race. Gap back down to 1.4 as it starts to rise a little bit. Chris Walsh got ever so close. Got within a second. Has he got any more left in the tank? 45.1 and a 45.5 for the pair of these two last time around. Now that gap opens up to nearly 1.6 seconds here, so I think it was just a game for Copeland there, and he was just tricking us. Although he definitely, if he's miscalculated by one lap, that'd be a huge mistake, because he always likes to be prepared. He always likes to come in this well knowing what he's coming into. Now he's come down a couple of tenths here at the penultimate corner. So he just maybe on the edge of fuel. And he had to back off for a couple of laps to save a little bit. Down the back straight. Gap down and down and down here. 1.2. It's going to be too much for Chris Walsh to do. But for Ken Copeland, whatever the mind games was, there's back markers in front that could really play a part in this one. They move right out the way. I don't want to get a part of this, but for Chris Walsh, it is going to be the final race win of the season. Still a few back markers in the way at the moment, but for Ken Copeland, sorry, not Chris Walsh, he wins from Chris Walsh, second place. Tyler Gilmet is going to come across for a very, very good P3 on the road, and obviously will win that Pro Ben category. He's the only driver here. So Tyler Gilmet ahead of Robert Schwenkler, rounding out the podium in the Pro category. Tyler Manning, P5 overall in that race. Solarda's finished P4. We're just waiting for Nolan Uke to come to the line. That, I believe, is Little in front of him. He's going to be P2 in category as well. Wallace has finished 4th. Gene Kelly 5th. And Little there then will be P2 in the open category. Nolan Uke, the winner in the Ben category. Louis Rios down in 6th place after having a decent start there, just finishing a lap down. Wells finishes P3 in open, with McDade 2nd place, and I think Baker is going to hang on in there for 3rd place because Solarda's already finished the race. But Ken Copeland, your race winner overall. What a drive from him. What a night to remember. What a season to remember for Ken Copeland. And what a championship to remember for all of us in the chat and in the spectating and who's watched all season. It's been an absolutely brilliant championship. There is Tyler Manning and Tyler Gilmet. And what a season it has been. Absolutely fantastic racing. And great drama throughout the entire season. From when we started 9 weeks ago back at the Daytona road course, the international road course. It has been fantastic driving throughout the whole championship. Just going to bring you the final classifications. Ken Copeland then, your race winner. Chris Walsh 2nd place with Tyler Gilmet 3rd place, the winner in Pro Ben. Robert Schwenkler P4, he was 3rd place in the Pro category. Tyler Manning, your open winner, P5. Martin Wallace from Gene Kelly 2nd in the open class for Jacob Little. P9 and race winner in the Ben category for Nolan Uke. Rounding out the podium in open category was Dustin Wells in P10. P11 and 2nd place in class for Peter McDade. Brandon Mateo was 12th. P13 and 3rd in class for Chandler Baker. Billy Ull from Kyle Shelton. Rui Farina, Jason Taylor, John Solarda, Tyler Reid and Rodney Campbell. John Hicks from Dan Fendick, Louis Rios, Phil Chartier, Charles Boschel, Richard Davenport and Cody Durkin bringing up the rear. Matt P in the chat, GG's to everybody. Well done to the broadcast crew as well. And a great race. Congrats to Ken and really great broadcast guys as well in the chat. Thank you all very much for the kind words. We have got Tyler Gilmet sat waiting for an interview. So let's drag him in, seeing as we're on board with his car. And Tyler, obviously the only Pro Ben driver out there tonight, but it was that race overall for P3 that was a fantastic night for you.
Yeah, it was a fantastic battle in the beginning with Tyler Manning, and then having Robert Swankler chasing me down there at the end. Definitely not a lack of sweating tonight.
Yeah, I can imagine. Really good qualifying, really good race, and like you say, when you're mixing it at the front with these pro drivers, it really makes you work hard, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely, especially with guys like, Ken Copeland, Chris Walsh, who, is a pro driver in SRO and now IMSA this year. It's a good test of your abilities, to say the least.
How did you find the Ford Mustang tonight? Because it looked a pretty good car.
Yeah, I found a few things in practice earlier tonight. I didn't really have a whole lot of time to prep. I've been out in Sonoma until last night at 9 p.m., so... just found something that worked and held on to it.
Held on to it, indeed. Great drive from yourself for P3 overall. Obviously, shame that the other Pro Ben driver wasn't here to have a little battle with as well at the end of the season. But you've got to be happy with these. Are you happy with your season overall?
Yeah, we had some ups and downs. I think that's true for sim racing as it is in real racing, and. I would have liked to see Greg here tonight, but he's out in Sonoma himself this week for the Porsche North America Sprint Challenge, so he's having a different type of fun.
He is indeed having a different type of fun. Was Sonoma good at the weekend? I managed to catch a bit on YouTube, so was it good while he was there?
Yeah, it was a great weekend. First weekend out with the new McLaren that we have, a new team. Happy with the results of 5th and 6th in race 1 and 2, so can't complain. Great start to the year.
Great start to the year and a great way to finish this one. Tyler, hope to see you back in the next season. Congratulations tonight.
Thank you. I'll see you guys.
Finally, anybody you'd like to thank? Sorry.
Absolutely. I got to thank you guys for being along with us all season, last season. Hope to bring you guys back next season. As always, Operation Motorsport for putting this on. They really help out the beneficiaries that really need it, and it makes an impact. Changes lives. Our sponsors, Trophy.ai, CrowdStrike, Michelin. Without them, we wouldn't have the money to do what we do, and it's really huge. So, thank you.
Well, Tyler, congratulations tonight. We'll see you next time, hopefully.
Thank you. See you next time.
And that was Tyler Gilmet there, who finished P1 and 3rd place overall. Bringing Chandler Baker, who was 3rd place in the... was 3rd place in the beneficiary category. Chandler... a decent night for yourself. Obviously the podium in class pretty good, just didn't have enough to keep with the top 2.
No, definitely not. Nolan and Pete are extremely fast, and if Pete's behind me, usually I can do some crazy defensive wizardry and keep him behind me for at least 5 or 6 laps, but he was gone for me pretty quick, and I decided at that point, well, let's be smart, let's not bend the car, let's keep it on. I started driving to target lap time of about 148, 147.7, and kept her going, and 9 hard races, and I'm finally on the podium. I threw it away at Laguna Seca, I threw it away at Road America, and now I got it back.
The hard work pays off, doesn't it? And like you say, 9 hard races, but you finally got onto the podium. But it's been a good season, hasn't it, from yourself? A few ups and downs, but a lot of learning in this beneficiary category this season, and finally the chance to get on the podium.
Oh, no doubt. I've learned so much about this season. This season actually prepped me so much for the 12 Hours of Sebring I ran a couple weeks ago, and because I ran the Porsche there too, and it was just, I'm married to this car now. I don't think I'm switching to any of them unless somehow one of them just becomes infinitely better. I think this Porsche is going to be tattooed on me on this point.
Talk us through a bit about your season, Chandler. Any highs, any lows?
This is absolutely the high. Without a doubt. The lows were Brands Hatch. As much as I love that racetrack, it was a race to forget completely. So that's one of my drop weeks, without a doubt. But this is the highest of highs. Some of the battles, though, I had at Laguna Seca made that one of my favorite races of the year, though. So just great battling throughout the beneficiary and the open class. Never could really keep up with the pro guys, but just great battling all season. We were so respectful of each other. There was never a time where I felt I got taken out maliciously. Yeah. It was so much fun. This is my first year here with Opmo, and I'm so excited to keep coming back. This was so much fun.
Brilliant to hear. Finally, anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
ZFG Racing, all my teammates, Martin Wallace, Greg Meismer, Brandon Potts, Kyle Smith, all those guys. They're just fantastic at coaching me and getting me through this. Our sponsors, of course, Michelin, CrowdStrike, Trophy.ai. Big thanks to you guys. And, of course, all the great staff at Operation Motorsport. And, of course, Apex Racing TV. Love you guys, too.
Thank you very much. Chandler Baker, P3 tonight. Congratulations, and we'll hopefully see you next time.
Thanks, mate. I'll definitely be back next season.
Brilliant to hear there. Chandler Baker then P3. We can now speak with Peter McDade, who was P2 in the beneficiary class. Peter, you was in the thick of a few fights with different category cars out there. It looked like a bit of fun.
Oh yeah, Matthew. It was a fun time out there today. We had a bunch of beneficiaries having fun. Nolan was super worried about me. You're about to talk with him. And overall, it was just a good race. We had very minimal amounts of contact and just making my way up through the field and staying consistent. Mostly that was my goal for this race because it's the last one of the season.
Last one of the season, and like you say, you managed to have that good race with all the other category cars. What's been, or tell us a bit more about tonight. How was the Ferrari? How was it for you? Obviously, we saw a few drivers make a few mistakes, able for you to gain a couple more places. How was the car for you?
Yeah, the Ferrari is super consistent. That's why I usually run it. It didn't help that I was sick this past weekend since just about Friday, returning from the West Coast. And so for me, the Ferrari was very consistent. It was very grippy. Towards the end, though, it started to fall off with the tires going over about 202, 205 because I was really pushing it at the end to try and catch up with Nolan. But what are you going to do? That's racing, right?
Yeah, 100%. Talk a bit about your season because it's not been a bad season. But, finally on the podium.
So, not bad season. I missed the first race at Daytona. I missed CTMP because I was out on the West Coast for work. But overall, it's just been a relatively consistent season. I just wanted to kind of race as much as I could. And I'm really looking forward to season 11, honestly, when I hope to meet every race and actually make my way up through the points and maybe get a class bump as well.
That'd be interesting to see. Sticking with a Ferrari possibly for next season?
Next season, I don't think I'm going to be in the Ferrari, no. I think it's going to be either the BMW or potentially the Porsche for next season.
Mm-hmm. Interesting to see. Peter, finally as well, anybody you'd like to thank?
I'd just like to thank everybody at Operation Motorsports for having this race every week for us beneficiaries, and I'd also like to thank everybody at Apex Racing TV for making these broadcasts happen. Thank you, gentlemen, so much.
You're more than welcome. Peter McDade, P2 tonight. Peter, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
P2 there. We can speak with a P1 in that beneficiary category. We'll speak with Nolan Uke, who has had to wait for Tanner Masters to sort of, have his issues, and he's had to wait for the Porsche, Ian Carney, to not be here for the final couple of races. But Nolan, it's finally your time to be on the top step of the podium.
Finally, right?
It's took a while, hasn't it, this season? Ian's kind of hogged the top step, but he's now let everybody else have a turn at the end of this season.
Well, Ian, I actually wish he was here. I want the competition for sure with him being at the top. It gives us all something to strive to be better. And I know his competition this season has definitely helped me amongst the other beneficiaries, just keeping us pushing and understanding how important the consistency is. Because really, when it's all said and done, if you don't cross the finish line, as you've heard other people say, I'm sure, you can't win the race.
100%. And I will say, doing the whole season, I missed a couple early on. I've kind of seen you come through the field and sort of emerge to this podium in this back half of the championship, especially. You've been a threat around that podium a lot. Do you think that's because of the other drivers such as Tanner Masters, Ian Carney, that have helped you push and learn to sort of be a bit more consistent and fight in these battles?
100%. I do more practicing than I do racing anymore, which I think is that transition that, the more serious sim racers over time, they start doing. They realizing that the practice is where, you make your money, and that's definitely starting to pay off in my world. So, hopefully next season, I'll be a contender and I'll keep myself out of trouble. I got myself into some trouble. I'm really probably my own worst enemy. I tend not to hit other people. I tend to wreck myself when I have issues.
Yeah. No, I've been there many a time. You try and avoid incidents and end up coming off worse yourself. This season, though, talk us a bit about it. You've had, like I said, from my point of view, it seems like you've got better as the season's gone on. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Yes, absolutely. With iRacing, especially being a somewhat new sim to me, because I'm coming from other sims, so it's definitely been an improvement over the season. And hanging around other veterans in this organization, there's no place else I'd rather be on a Tuesday night. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, indeed there is. Finally, Nolan, anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
Yeah, obviously my family is number one to me, my wife and my kids. However, all of everybody that participates in this within the esports league, within Operation Motorsport, and then of course, I'm also in the immersion program. So, I thank MSR, Meyershank Racing, for accepting me and welcoming me on the team. And I can't wait to see y'all in Long Beach next week.
Interesting. Well, Nolan, congratulations tonight. Well done on the season as well. And enjoy that one. We'll hope to see you next time.
Hey, thank you very much.
Nolan Newt there, P1 in the in the Ben category. We have just got Tyler Manning join in the interview room from the Open category. And Tyler, we'll grab a word with you before we speak to Ken Copeland. P5, I believe it was, on the road overall tonight. Obviously, winner in that Open category. But it was a really good night for yourself. Qualified on the second row of the grid. Was P4, P3 for a while. Just then pit stops, the pro guys managed to get the jump.
Yeah, the McLaren definitely got a great pace with qualifying. I couldn't really pull the race pace up at the end. I was trying to really keep up with Gilmet in the Green Mustang, but he just was a lot faster in the slower, tight sections, and I heard that he was keeping up with him in the rest. But overall, it's pretty happy with how things went. P5 overall and winning the class. That's pretty great to do.
Yeah, it is indeed. Now, you pulled off probably the move of the night in the last section of corners on Martin Wallace in the Porsche, right around the outside. Just talk us through that move from your perspective.
Oh, I was really hoping that I would get my inner Chris Walsh done right there. I didn't expect to get it done. I thought we were going to collide at the very end, but it was it was great to see that I didn't get rear-ended in the last corner. It was a hell of a move that I didn't think I would do.
You've ran, obviously, the fantastic liveries over the last couple of weeks. You've changed livery each week. They've looked spectacular. We've enjoyed seeing them especially. Just talk us through a bit about your season in general. How do you think it's gone? Obviously, a couple of wins this season, or a lot of wins towards the back half. It's been fantastic to see.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic season. Obviously, having a new livery for each round is definitely a special thing to have, and having the consistency I didn't have the last time when I was running in the Porsche was definitely a great help. But even if this McLaren was pretty tricky, got the job done and got the wins that I didn't expect to get.
It did indeed. It certainly got you a fair few wins this season. It's been a great championship for you, Tyler. Lastly, anybody you'd like to thank?
I would definitely love to thank Operation Motorsports. Big shout out to everyone involved, including you guys over at Apex. I want to actually promote Veterans Race of Remembrance. That's why I had it on my race cards tonight with the gold and whatnot. November 9th is the day of a race. So if you want to actually watch that, you can go ahead and watch it on YouTube. Type in Veterans Race of Remembrance. We got CrowdStrike, Sunoco, Michelin, Mobile One, all these incredible partners and sponsors, including myself. I'll be there promoting the race and doing all the stuff for it.
Brilliant. Tyler, thank you very much for this season. We hope to see you next time, and best luck in future races.
Thank you, Matthew.
Tyler Manning there, winner in the open category. And we can now speak to somebody who I've been wanting to chat to. First question, was you fuel saving because you was possibly going to run out at the end, or was that just mind games?
No, that was a transmission issue or something of that nature. Yeah, lost a little speed there, and then Chris was catching up. I finally got through that, I think, Mustang, the last one, and all of a sudden the car started working again.
It did seem like it was a bit of a stressful situation at the end because Chris was really gaining on you.
Yeah, there were some gremlins that made things a little interesting. I really, really enjoyed the first half of the race. We were having a lot of fun battling, and it's funny because I was fuel saving a little bit, but nothing super crazy. I was actually trying to pressure Chris as much as I could here and there to just kind of stress him out. Obviously, like, I'm a fake race car driver at best, and this is a real world race car driver, so in my head I'm like, I'm going to pressure him, faking myself out. And then he pitted a little earlier than I expected him to, and then it was kind of a roll of the dice in terms of traffic. So tail end of the race went fairly well. I did fuel save a little bit here and there, but ultimately it came down to just kind of traffic management. Got a little close, but I think at the end of the day, the AMG probably managed its tires a little bit better than the McLaren.
Was there a bit of fuel saving going on at the start as well? Because that's obviously been a strategy of yours throughout the championship that's paid you very well. Was that again the case tonight? Just try and save that bit of fuel, just try and run that a little bit longer?
A little bit here and there. Like, I'd be lying if I told you fuel saving wasn't in my game plan every race. But honestly, I got so caught up having fun just racing Chris. Honestly, it's been a little bit of a lonely season out front, which is understandable. So he came tonight to play, and I was having a blast doing it. So there's a little bit of fuel saving, but that was more about trying to save the tires for the tail end of the race than trying to beat him out of the pits. I was actually pleasantly surprised when I came out as far ahead of him as I was.
It's been a great season for yourself, obviously, from week 2 onwards. I don't think he was here for week 1. It's been a fantastic season, fantastic championship. Just sort of sum up your season in a few words.
Enjoyable. Honestly, I know that I come into Operation Motorsport, the league itself, a little higher rated, probably doing a little bit more racing than most of the guys in here. But honestly, the community, hanging out in chat, listening to some of the stories of these guys, doing a little bit mentorship here and there has been super rewarding. So spending time out on track, honestly, is just a bonus.
It has been a great season, Ken, to watch you and to talk about you all championship long. It's been a privilege. Anybody you'd like to thank finally?
Yeah, absolutely. As always, Apex Racing TV, Matthew, you and Jonathan all do an amazing job week in and week out. Y'all hear me say that every week. I'll try to come up with some new language at some point. The sponsors for Operation Motorsport, CrowdStrike, Apex Racing TV, Trophy.ai, thank you so much for the support you give to Operation Motorsport, both online as well as in person. The admins, the leagues, the beneficiaries, everybody that shows up week to week, they're the real heroes in all of this. Big shout out to Chris Walsh as well from Karis Cow's race team. Follow him in the VP Sports Car Challenge in IMSA if you don't already. He draws a crowd, great source of inspiration for a lot of these guys. So everybody that gets involved, thank you so much.
Indeed, Ken Copeland, race winner in that Pro Series, in the Pro Series for tonight, and what a season, Ken, you have had. Thank you, and it's been a privilege.
Yeah, thank you, and likewise.
Ken Copeland there, race winner overall tonight, and that then is all we have time for. That is all the interviews that we have for you. What a night it has been at Virginia International Raceway. What a season, 9 weeks of GT3 action in 4 categories here on Operation eMotorsport, the iRacing League. Thank you once again to Trophy.ai, Michelin and CrowdStrike, the fantastic partners that get behind these fantastic veterans and drivers on this grid. Thank you to Jonathan as well, who has joined me and brought you the fantastic coverage and replays that you have seen all season long. Without him, this wouldn't have been possible. Thank you to Charles Boschel, who was with us, and Ron, who was with us earlier in the season in the commentary booth. And we've done our best these last couple of weeks with a rusty throat that just does not seem to be getting any better. And I'm sure it's 2:30 in the morning here in the United Kingdom that I sound absolutely at my best. But I've tried my best for you guys. Hopefully we've put on such a good show and that you have enjoyed it. That is season 10 wrapped up and in the bag. Season 11 will be news to come on that one, hopefully sometime soon. But again, thank you once more here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be live with plenty more action in this coming week. Make sure you join us for all the drama still to come on Apex Racing TV. But from me and Jonathan, it's good night.